Hi everyone, my name is Micah McLean and I'm the creator of Micah McLean Talks. Please remember to like, share and subscribe, and I hope you enjoy the interview.
Good afternoon, Shaun Wallace. Thank you so much for coming on. You are a barrister, but you're also known for your role in The Chase as Shaun the Dark Destroyer Wallace, which is also one of the most popular shows on daytime television.
Yeah.
So thank you.
Thank you for having me, Micah. Thank you.
The first question I'd like to ask you is please tell us about your early life growing up in Wembley and your early years as a barrister.
I've grown up in this area for the best part of my adult life, really. I just love the area in which I live. I can go anywhere in the world and I can basically, people say to me, I could be in China. One time I was up the Amazon in 1989, and they asked me where I come from, and I said Wembley. And, they immediately identified because of the iconic stadium. And, I've seen the area grow and diversify in the sort of 50 to 60 years which I've lived, from being a predominantly white area to a vibrant, diverse, cosmopolitan area, which is diverse in terms of nationalities and populations, which, helps contribute to a really vibrant community.
Thank you so much. And you have been a senior criminal defence advocate for 25 years.
Longer, actually. It's 38 years. I got called to the bar in 1984. Ever since I was a little kid, I wanted to be a lawyer. And it's always been I'm just sort of living the dream, being a young boy who wanted to be what he said he was going to be. I was like Muhammad Ali of my sort of class. I'm going to be a lawyer. I'm going to be the greatest. I want people to realise. It wasn't an easy path for me, in terms of the fact that as a young boy growing up in the 70s, educational standards had a low expectation of people of colour. If you're a young black boy, they expected you to either be a bus driver at best, working in a factory, or sadly be engaged in the criminal justice system. And if you're a young black girl, they expected you to either be working in the typing pool or sadly living in a high-rise council flat with loads of children around your ankles and no father to support. And any dreams or ambitions of being a doctor, lawyer, or dentist were seen as a complete anathema. So I knew what I wanted to be, and it wasn't an easy journey for me. And I wrote an autobiography called Chasing a Dream, which I'm sure you're familiar with, and I hope you've read. Where I talk about sort of, setbacks I have endured in my life, because it's important that people realise that there are those setbacks which help define and make you as a person. And if you do have setbacks in your life, it doesn't mean to say that your future's behind you. Fortunately for me, I had good people around me, like my parents, a school I went to called Elstone High School, which basically had a very high expectation of people of colour to do well. And it was for, my first law teacher was a man called Gordon Small, who was like my hero, because he was a black man who was a qualified barrister, and he showed to me that you can become a lawyer. And he will always be one of my sort of, go-to standout heroes who helped make and shape the person you see today. So I have had it's not been an easy career trying to climb the greasy pole to get to the top of the profession either. I've had my fair share of setbacks, and I talk about that in my autobiography. But as I say, for the past 38 years, yes, I have been a senior criminal defence advocate, doing cases ranging from murders to, relatively trivial stuff. Because for me, it's important as a black person in particular to use my professional skills to help people achieve the justice they need. It's very, very important that irrespective of your background, that you do have the access to justice, with the right professionals who've got your best interests at heart, as opposed to chasing the sort of almighty pound sign. So I was also a part-time lecturer alongside my legal career, teaching at Hackney College for 4 nights a week, 14 years. Because again, for me, it was very, very important as a black professional to go into what was then a deprived area at Hackney, to basically say to people, look, you can be everything you want to be in life, providing you educate your mind. Because for me, the key to staying in control of your destiny is to have an educated mind. And I think it's important that people like me use the platform they have, the skills they have, the professionalism they have to try and inspire the next generation. And for me, it's always about putting up the ladder of opportunity for people to actually climb up, not to get to my level, but to go beyond me.
At your level, do you constantly have to study and update?
Well, I still practice as a barrister full time, but so I normally spend about 3 hours a day, especially in the evenings. I don't concentrate on stuff I know. It's pointless about that. I always focus on the stuff that I don't know.
And when you say train, I mean, what are you doing? Reading, watching TV shows?
I watch TV, read newspapers daily. I record all the quiz shows, and I just test myself, see how many questions I get right. But I'm not interested in the questions I get right. I'm only interested in the questions I get wrong.
And why you get them wrong.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And it helps me remember.
I use the internet an awful lot. I'm always on news websites. I also do a lot of quizzing. I do online quizzes every morning.
Every morning?
Pretty much
So you wake up
certainly every weekday morning. There is an American league that I do that comes online in the UK around about 7 a.m. And there's also a British league that's been online since midnight. And there are a few games that I play on each of those.
And are those updated every day? So
yes,
you're getting
they are.
It's modern knowledge.
Yes,
not
and
just luck.
And it's very competitive, and you want to win those. And if you get something wrong, or you come up with an answer that you find that the right answer is something you've never heard of, you're like, right, I'm going to go to Wikipedia, I'm going to see what on earth that is about.
But let me ask the two of you, is that like, training your body to be fit, or is that just getting a very good power of recall, a memory? Do you actually educate yourselves?
A bit of both. I think you need to start off with having the kind of memory that just things stick to.
Whereas
I'm like that.
Whereas I take the view that if you're interested in something, you're going to remember it. And my motto is no information is useless information.
Talking about your own challenges, I was reading in that one of the last chapters of your autobiography, where you actually reflected on your legal career. There was this transition that you're going through. So for those of the audience that might not have read your autobiography, could you just touch upon that a bit, so some of the young people?
Yeah, as I say, I think the passage which you're referring to, obviously, I've had a fairly successful career, but it's not always been that successful. And I remember towards the end of the 1990s when I felt that, my own professional future was at its crossroads. I was approaching 40 and I didn't know what I wanted to do. And I felt a bit disillusioned because, although I was a very good lawyer, I felt getting the breaks which I felt I needed to actually climb that greasy pole. And I suppose to some extent, I had a sort of rose-tinted approach to my career. And it's important to actually approach a career with a great deal of optimism, but also with a sense of pragmatism, because, not everything is going to be rosy. But I became somewhat disillusioned, and I decided to actually embark on the rather hazardous competitive world of quiz game shows. And I ended up winning Mastermind, becoming the first black person to win that competition. So for me, that was not only just a personal tribute to me, but to my family, to people who are black, to people who are of colour. You should always realise that you have the same intellectual capacity as your white counterparts. And, the moment when I knew I won Mastermind, I think you must have read that, I was thinking of everything at that point, all the hard hits, all the setbacks. And it brought me to the point of, being recognised for my intellectual ability. And it wasn't just for me, it was for black people generally. And I like to think that by blowing open that concrete ceiling, I've demonstrated to the world that we as a black race have the ability, have the talent to not only thrive and survive, but to go even further.
Thank you. Thank you so much for that. You've actually answered two of my questions. So thank you for that. So I'm going to move on to the next one, which is in 2009, you joined ITV's The Chase as Shaun the Dark Destroyer Wallace. Please tell us a bit about the story about how you came to join one of the most popular shows.
Well, again, it stems back to when I won Mastermind. I actually retired from quizzing altogether because could I go wise? I'd won the toughest quiz show probably in the world, and I think the world had realised that that there was no limit to my sort of quizzing capability. So any chance of me winning £1 million and Who Wants to Be a Millionaire had gone. So I retired, went back to my legal career. And then I was asked to come out of retirement by the BBC. And you notice that my book starts and finishes with the Eggheads grand final. And I tell my life story within the hour of me listening to Steely Dan's greatest hits. And I got all the way to the grand final and I lost and I was gutted. And I said, that's it. I've finished with quizzing now. There's nowhere I can go. So in the autumn of 2008, when they were actually showing the series of Are You an Egghead, I got a phone call from ITV asking me to take part in an audition for what they considered to be an exciting new game show concept. So I went along. I said, oh, well, why not? Went along. They asked me 30 questions. I got 28 out of 30. And they said to me, how did I, what am I doing quizzing-wise? So I said, look, I've retired now. I said, oh, by the way, I'm on Are You an Egghead? So they said to me, well, how did you do on that? So I said, I'm not telling you. I said, if you want to see how good I am, watch that my performance on it as my audition. And I left. So when they showed me losing to Barry Simmons on the 2nd of December 2008, the following day I was in front of an ITV commissioning panel in a pub on the Gray's Inn Road, trying to convince this panel of this exciting new game show concept. So I'm the world's first chaser. And 13 years later, here I am.
That's amazing. And if you were a contestant, which 3 chasers would you not want to go up against?
I wouldn't be frightened of any of them. And any chaser would say the same thing. I wouldn't be frightened of them. I'm a Mastermind champion. Do you think I'll be frightened of them? Absolutely not. If you to ask any of my 5 fellow chasers, they say the exact same thing. Because, you know, they got total belief in their quizzing ability, just like I have.
Thank you. And this year you appeared in the ITV show DNA Journey.
Mm-hmm.
If more people knew about their ancestral heritage, do you think it would change interrace relations as we know it today?
You know, they say if you can make sense of the past, you can understand the present. And I was very, very fortunate to have the organisation called ITV to go as far as they could. Not everybody has that advantage, and I'm grateful that I did. And it showed how far they could go back and delve in terms of, digging up my own past. And I think it's important, if you can, to try and go back to find out where you come from, because it's important that, we all know what our history is as a black race in terms of it's been steeped with the stain of slavery. And that's one thing we can't do is to change the past. But learning how my ancestors had lived through hardship and struggle to help make me the person I am today, it's made me proud of my ancestral roots. It's made me proud of the fact that I'm black. I've always been proud of the fact that I'm black. It makes me sing with greater pride. I am black. Once we do, if people can do that, then you'll have the same burning sense of pride in relation to the fact that you are the latest line of your ancestors who had to go through hardship, who had to go through misery to where you are today.
Involves me.
Absolutely. Yeah, brilliant.
And
it's like this with every index. Where am I? Where am I?
You won Mastermind, and you were clearly a genius, but I was editor of the Daily Mirror, and we entered the River Cafe quiz, which is like the most important quiz in London.
Yeah.
Everyone goes, Paxman, Fry, you name it, they're all there. All take it terribly seriously. And I had a Daily Mirror team, and I got you in as a ringer. Took me a long time to persuade you.
You did.
But I got you in. None of them knew who you were, except they soon found out that you knew the answer to absolutely everything.
You take up the story, Shaun.
Well, what happened, I got a phone call. It said, are you Shaun Wallace? And he said, yeah. He goes, Piers Morgan. I said, what, Piers Morgan from the Mirror? I go, he goes, yeah. I said, anyway, what do you want? So he spent about 40 seconds persuading me, and once he asked me to actually come on the quiz, I didn't hesitate. It was
hilarious, and it went down like a cup of cold sick.
It did.
And we won.
We certainly did.
They're all booing, but we had a great time.
We had a fantastic time.
What it showed me was you have the most extraordinary mind. One of the most extraordinary minds I've ever met. How do you categorize and describe your own brain? Because it is so extraordinary.
You know, I'm no cleverer than anybody in this room. If you've got an interest in something, you're going to remember it. It's as simple as that. And as a little kid, I've always had that sort of interest in sort of, learning things.
But your interest is so wide.
Except for soaps.
Right.
I've been caught out on the chase loads of times. I remember I lost £50,000 when they asked me what colour's Marge Simpson's hair. Now, if you've never watched The Simpsons, you're not going to know.
Right.
What did you guess?
I said orange, blue, and I said orange.
And it's blue, of course. Yeah. So that you had a 50-50 chance.
But you say everyone can do this, Shaun. They can't. Otherwise, everyone would be doing it.
You could, you've got to find a time and a sort of interest to actually do it. So I'm genuine when I say that anybody can do what I do.
But do you not? You say you're no cleverer, but you must have you have a phenomenal memory, and
Because
I
I'm
just
interested.
find that my memory is just collapsing.
You'll be surprised what you've forgotten. That's all I can simply say. The difference between you and I suppose, and me and my fellow chasers is that we're professional quizzers. And remember, I'm a trained barrister. So I'm taught to research, I'm taught to actually, think on my feet.
I'm a professional journalist, and I'm taught to research and think on my feet as well. But you do have an extraordinary memory. It's funny you said that about being a barrister. You wanted to be in the legal profession from a very young age.
Ever since I was 11 years old, yeah.
You were told by your teachers you weren't going to amount to anything.
Yeah. Well, educational standards were different 40 years ago than they were today. I mean, they had low expectations of what black people could achieve. The best they thought that black males could achieve was either driving buses or at the end, working in factories.
Thank you. And I'd also like to move on to something else, which is you had a really close relationship with your father, who sadly passed away.
Mm-hmm.
How did his death impact your fitness journey? Because you talked about your fitness journey and all the work.
Because obviously, I did a rowing show as well. I did a rowing show 2 years ago. I was part of a rowing team where I was one of the oldest contestants. I think I was the oldest, who had to row the length of Britain. My dad, died sadly of motor neuron disease. And as I say, I'm a patron committed to try and, a cure may never be ever found in my lifetime, but whatever I can do to try and help raise funds and raise awareness, I'll always do so. But I train every single day. I was 62 2 days ago. And for me, it's important that you keep a healthy mind and a healthy body. And I think everybody has a sense of responsibility to look after their own health, because I want to, the one thing I can't stave off is the inevitability of death. But the one thing I can do, although you never know when your time is up, whilst I'm living here, I want to keep myself as healthy mentally and physically as I possibly can. I think people do have a sense of responsibility to do that, especially the impact it's having on the NHS. So for me, ever since I've loved sports anyway, but the older I got, I made a conscious decision to keep myself as fit and healthy as I can. And again, as I say, being in the public eye, it's important that I keep my mental acuity sharp by keeping myself physically fit and eating well and training well, and preparing well, because it's all part of the same package for me.
Thank you so much for opening up about that. And I'd also like to ask, what are your hobbies? What do you enjoy doing outside of quiz mastering?
Well, I love quizzing. I quiz when I can. I set. I still do. I haven't done it as of late because there are not enough hours in the day, let alone a week. But I do online quizzes because, especially during the pandemic, I thought it's very, very important to try and raise morale of people when, as I say, some people were basically locked in the sort of prison of their own home. So I do quizzing as well. As I say, I keep myself fit by training every single day. I get up, I do 2,000 stomach crunches. That takes about half an hour. Then sometimes I've got a rowing machine in my loft, so I go on a rowing machine, do about 3,000 meters. And depending upon whether I'm at court or in the studio, I then meet my very demanding trainer, who is a very close and dear friend of mine. He's known as Biko, that's what we call him, Sergeant Major Biko. And although, as I say, he's a year younger than me, when I'm in his class, I take it seriously, because there's no prisoners there. He's there to actually train me. And that's what I need. I don't need to be told or told what I want to hear. I'm told what I'm supposed to do. especially when it comes to training. So for me, that's very, very important. I like going on holiday. I go to Jamaica every Christmas. And that's about it, really. Seeing my mates. I've still got the same friends I grew up with, because again, that's very, very important. Because, when I was Shaun Who, they were the type of friends who had my back, who carried me when my times were really, really low. And now I'm in the public eye. I take those type of friends with me.
Thank you so much for that. And even following on from that, what do you enjoy most about being a television personality?
I suppose what I enjoy is the fact that I bring a sense of joy to the public, especially to Black people in general, because they are so proud of what I've achieved, I suppose. And I suppose I am representing my race, I am representing my community by showing that we do have that intellectual capacity. So for me, if I'm ever stopped on the street or indeed asked to do an interview, I'll always do so, because it's the people in the public who make me famous, and it's my way of saying thank you.
Thank you for that, and it's really inspiring too. Another question I'd like to ask you: what are 3 of the greatest successes and challenges you've had throughout your life, and what did you learn from these experiences?
Again, Michael, you've read my books, so you know that 42 years ago, when I failed my exams and my exams weren't high enough to get into university, and all my friends were going off, it was a very, very dark period in my life, because I had no plan B. I told everybody I was going to be a lawyer, and if you talk the talk, you've got to be able to walk the walk. And it was very, very difficult. And when you do have setbacks in life, and that's why I talk about it, because it's important to people to realize that, people think you're born famous, people think you're born rich, people think you're born clever. No, it's all about nature and nurture for me. I come from, relatively humble origins, a humble background. But, I had a passion, drive, and determination to want to make something of my life. So, if you come to my house, you'll see a drawing on my wall called My Inspiration, which has got people like Harriet Tubman, Sojourner Truth, Bob Marley, Jesse Owens, Tommy Smith, who did the Black Power salute in 1968, Pele when he scored the goal in 1970, Muhammad Ali, my greatest hero of all time. And my biggest inspiration is my mum and dad. And it's those people who have inspired me, because they were people of colour who made a positive contribution to society. And I used to say as a little kid, if I could be a fraction of what they've achieved in my life, then my life's going to be a success. So for me, those were the challenges of the setbacks, I suppose. And obviously, I've had 1 or 2 highlights. To this day, the biggest highlight I had was qualifying as a lawyer, because as a young boy growing up, I was told that at the end, I wouldn't be a lawyer. I was going to end up either in prison or stacking shelves. That's what I was told by my teachers. And, it's not nice to actually hear that from your so-called teachers, where they're supposed to nurture and guide you. But the one thing I was determined that nobody is going to control my destiny. And the only way you stay in control of your own destiny is to educate your mind. So for me, that's always been the key. Winning Mastermind, being a chaser, they are highlights, but it's given me the platform to basically go into schools, go into prisons, go into colleges, to basically say to young people, you represent the future. I'm just the guardian of today, and I want you to be better than me. I don't want you to be the same as me. I want you to be an improved version of Shaun Wallace. I don't want you to be Shaun Wallace. I want to be you, as the philosophy which I believe in. No, you could pay me no greater compliment by following that philosophy.
Thank you so much for that. And one thing that actually touched me about your book was in the last chapter, when last couple of pages, you reflected upon your life and your drive to continue achieving. Yeah,
that's why the book's called Chasing the Dream. Continually setting challenges, continually setting goals for myself. And that's what I'm about, even at the ripe old age of 62.
Thank you so much, Shaun. And the last question I'd like to ask you is, are there any projects that are taking place between 2022 to 2023 that our audience should be aware of?
Well, whatever comes up will come up. Obviously, all I simply can say is just watch this space. The one thing I will guarantee is that, whatever project I've been asked to do or to undertake, I'll always do my very, very best to put forward my very best foot forward and to try and be entertaining, especially as an entertainer. In my legal profession, to be the best lawyer I can be, because I'm only as good as my last closing speech. But more importantly, to try and inspire the next generation. That's what I'm about.
Thank you so much, Shaun, for such a great interview. I thoroughly enjoyed interviewing you.
Thank you.